So I'm going to tell you the story about my professional development and my decision to become a sign language interpreter. It started back when I was in high school. I was learning sign language a little bit at a time in an after-school sign language club. The school had one deaf girl. The school also had a class for hard of hearing students. So the girl was deaf in the hard of hearing class, so she was basically mainstreamed during most of the day. So I went to this after-school class, started learning sign language. It was really interesting for me. So the girl lived over an hour and a half away from the school. So every day she would take the bus to and from school, but she would miss the first part of the school day and the last part of the school day. So the teachers and the principals of the school were trying to figure out a way for her to not miss class. So they came up with the idea that she could stay during the week, Monday through Friday, with a foster family. So my older three sisters were already gone from the house. They were in college at the time. So we actually had an empty bedroom. So I thought, what a great idea if she comes and lives with us Monday through Friday. So I told the principal and the teachers that she could come and stay at our house. So the principal and teachers asked me, well, is it okay with your mother? And I said, oh yes, she won't mind, even though I hadn't really asked my mother yet. So it was a Friday afternoon. I went home, I saw my mom, and I was thinking about how to approach her. So I told my mom, oh, there's this poor deaf girl. She's at school. She lives so far away. She really needs a family to stay with Monday through Friday. My mother was really reluctant and hesitant, and she's like, well, I don't know. My family, though, was really strong churchgoers. So I said to my mother, I said, well, Mom, Jesus would want us to take her in. She needs a place to stay. Well, my mom felt kind of guilty at that point, so she said, well, I'll talk to your father. When would she come? Now remember, this was Friday. And I said, oh, Mom, she's coming on Monday. I already told the teacher and principal you said it was okay. My mother was taken aback and surprised, but she didn't say anything bad, and actually she said, all right. So that's how I ended up with my first foster sister. So every day she and I would ride the school bus together, and we would do our sign language. We'd talk to each other there and back. And of course she stayed with me Monday through Friday. So that's really where I learned sign language, was from my foster sister. So as I was getting closer to graduation from high school, I went to my parents and I said, Mom and Dad, I want to become a sign language interpreter. My mom and dad said, I never heard of such a job. I don't think you can make a living doing that. I came from a small town, so there weren't a lot of deaf people, and there weren't a lot of interpreters. So I told my mom and dad, I said, well, there's a college in Seattle that has an interpreter training program. I can go there and learn how to be an interpreter. So my parents said, no, you have to study business and get an accounting degree so you can get a real job. So I studied accounting, I got my bachelor's degree, but at the same time I took on my own classes at the interpreter training program in Seattle. So I interpreted part-time while I was going to school. When I graduated with my bachelor's degree in accounting, I realized I didn't want to be an accountant after all. So I decided to go to graduate school and become a lawyer. So I became a lawyer. I put myself through school by interpreting on the side. And then I got a job as a lawyer, a tax attorney in Chicago. So I didn't really like working as a tax attorney either, so I ended up going back into what I first always wanted to do, and that was to become a professional sign language interpreter.